We still have a lot of people here this morning and a lot of ground to cover. So for anybody who's just popped in, we just had an amazing presentation by our new Chancellor, Dr. Jackson, and a couple of quick updates before we start this session. So what we're going to do for the next hour is I'm going to give about five to 10 minutes, somewhere in there, for each of the leaders that have been invited to share information with you. It's going to be kind of a casual dialogue. They're going to kind of tell you some important updates. I'll ask some questions of my own. I'll dialogue with them and ask questions out of the Q&A. We'll move through each person fairly quickly and save a little time at the end also. So if you chat with each other and dialogue in the chat, but if you have a specific question that you'd like one of the leaders to answer, then put it in the Q&A feature. And I'm going to start with, first we're going to do Vice Chancellor McKinley from HR, who will talk a lot about the stuff that people are asking questions about. And then I think I'm going to change the order up in the plan and go directly to you, Etheria, if it's okay, because a lot of the stuff Ron talks about then goes right into kind of the stuff that you'll be talking about. Then Antoine will talk a little bit about IT, the PeopleSoft upgrade and things like that. Then we'll have our faculty leaders, our DAS president and our PFD president, and we'll close out with Vice Chancellor Siri Brown. So if that's okay, then, so each of you presenters, be sure and kind of watch the time, just mark yourself at about 5 minutes and note you need to begin to wrap up there. And Mark, you can help me with the Q&A as well, if that's okay. So with that, I'd like to introduce you, if you don't already know, our Interim Vice Chancellor of Human Resources and Employee Relations, Dr. McKinley, who joined us just about a year ago, and is going to give us some information that will answer many of the questions you just asked. So off to you.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Ingrid. I appreciate that. Good morning, everyone. So I am very happy to be here. It's been here since November 30th last year. Feels like a lot longer, but it's been a very good experience. Well, there are a number of things that HR is doing, but I think the number one thing that's on most folks' minds right now is the COVID vaccination, return to campus. What does that mean to me, and how will all of that work? I'd like to preface this by saying, and I've said this before in the cabinet meeting and other places, that no one really has done this before. All right, we're all in new territory. We're pioneers, if you will, in how we're going to do it. So we'll be able, if we choose, to write it up and teach other people in the future how you deal with a pandemic and the issues that we're grappling with right now. So the analogy I've used is that it's kind of like we're building an airplane while we're flying it. We've got one engine bolted on, we still have 3 more to go, and we're learning about how to do this while we're actually doing it. Our whole goal is to ensure, as best we can, given what we have to work with our capabilities, to have it be as safe and healthy of a workplace and a place for students to come and learn as we possibly can make it. That's the whole goal. And all of us, as the Chancellor said, Dr. J said, it will take all of us working together to actually get things accomplished. Not necessarily pointing fingers and assigning blame, but if we see something, we should bring it up and talk to each other about it so we can take action. So the board, as the Chancellor said, the board has said that vaccinations are required of employees, all of us, everyone who's employed by the district, as a condition of employment, the same as TB test. Now, of course, folks need to have time to get vaccinated if they haven't been vaccinated. There are 2 reasons why an individual could get an exemption from being vaccinated, and they are based on medical reasons. And there are CDC guidelines with regard to those and ADA issues that would enter in. We have a form that's been posted on the website, HR website, and also the Say Peralta website, where it's a declination form. An employee would fill that out. And then there's also a form for their medical provider. We don't want to know what the condition is. That's none of our business. The medical provider will simply assert and say that this person has a condition that is covered by the CDC guidelines, or there's another ADA issue, and we will accept that, and that person will have an exemption. The other one is a closely held religious belief. Now, it's not tied to any particular religious organization, or any component thereof, some sect of that organization, religious group, whatever it might be. It's really, can the person demonstrate, and we have a form that would enable us to determine that, can demonstrate a true, real, sincerely held belief with regard to vaccinations. And then that person would also receive an exemption. Now, for those that cannot be vaccinated and because of one of the exemptions, also pregnant employees can ask for a deferral, and they will not be required to be vaccinated until they return to work from their maternity leave, or if they get an exemption, one of those previous exemptions I talked about. Now, for those who get an exemption and those who cannot, for health reasons, be vaccinated, then, or who have not been vaccinated yet, then must be tested. We will require them to be tested weekly, and there have to be a negative test in order to continue to come to one of our campus sites or the district office. We're working hard to provide testing capabilities around the district, and I think BC Smith can talk more to that because she's been leading that effort. And then everyone, regardless of vaccination status, will be required to wear a mask while on campus. That's an Alameda Health Department has mandated that, and all classroom situations. The only exceptions to that would be if we're eating lunch, right, or drinking a cup of coffee or tea, or if we're in our own private office with no one else around, then we may remove our mask. Also, the Chancellor mentioned our COVID prevention plan or program. I highly encourage everyone to read that. There's lots of words. They're written by attorneys, so there's many words, but the words are important. And one of the key things in there that you'll see pretty early on is the notion of other accommodation. If you recall, we have an obligation to accommodate folks for any number of reasons, and we do that through the interactive process. And that's not different for an accommodation with regard to COVID-19. So if a person has one of those pre-existing conditions, chronic kidney disease, diabetes, hypertension, et cetera, that are listed and recognized by the CDC, then they cannot be required. We will go through an interactive process, and they'll need a note from their doctor, not telling us what the condition is, but they have one of them, right? One of these pre-existing conditions. And then we will go through the interactive process and we will accommodate them. And one of those accommodations would be that we cannot require anyone, whether they're vaccinated or not, once they've been accommodated, then to return in person if that puts them at risk. So those are some of the key things. Now, I only got 5 minutes, so there's a lot more. And please feel free to send me emails. We also have a single point of questions, if you will, and that's hr@peralta.edu. We have 2 HR analysts who are staffing that and monitoring that. They will answer your questions. If they don't know the answer, they will tell you, we are going to find out, and they will get you an answer. They have direct lines to our LCW, Liebert, Cassidy, Whitmore for free. The lawyers are doing this for free. That's a good thing. And they will answer our questions, and we'll be able to get those right back to you as quickly as possible. So I guess you mean to answer some questions?
Let me ask you a couple questions just to clarify. So what I hear you saying, and blending that with the chancellors, there's one system for students, and a number of faculty are really interested to know information about that. So bracket that for a second. But what you're mostly talking about is a system for faculty, all employees to be able to get their vaccination and then share that information with the district, and then a very clear and compassionate exemption process for people who are entitled to an exemption.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct. And those exemptions also apply to students. Students have the same issues. The reporting of these things for employees, all of this will be through company nurse. That is a service provided by ASCIP. ASCIP is our insurance provider and our workers' comp provider. It's an excellent program. It's not an app, it's a URL. So once people register and you saw the thing where you can scan it into your phone, and once you register, then you will receive daily an email asking you to screen and answer the CDC screening questions. You will then also be asked if you're vaccinated, yes or no. And if the answer is yes, you will then be able to upload a copy or a picture of your CDC card or a letter, signed letter from your your primary care provider. I've already done that myself. It's very simple. Same thing will be true. They'll be able to upload or send a picture of their declination forms the same way. For students, it's Campus Shield, because Campus Shield's been around for a while. Students know what Campus Shield is, at least if they've been a student here before. So they will be doing their screening through Campus Shield. And there'll be more about that. There is education from both company nurse and Campus Shield will be here during the Flex Day to provide much more in-depth education than I have time to do here.
Okay, so thank you. So let me tell participants again that at 12:30, there is a session on Campus Shield so that folks who are participating today can learn how that will work for students. A couple of people said, I want to know so I can tell my students what to do and how it works. We will record that and share that out, and then we will share out next week. I'll try to send out some more information about how to learn. You can always go to Safe Peralta. The company nurse training is at 4:30. I deliberately put that at the end of the day so that people who don't have to miss other sessions can go. That will talk about how you as an employee use the URL. And I think, Ron, they do have an app also, don't they? Or is it just the URL?
Campus Shield is an app, yes, but with company nurse, it's okay. URL.
So you'll go online and you'll enter your information, and that will be where the information is collected. And again, there's a training at 4:30. We will record that and share that out again as well.
And just quickly, so everyone knows that your information that you upload to company nurse will come directly to HR, and it will be stored separately from everything else, the same way we store any other medical information.
Okay. All right, thank you. There's a million questions, but all of our other leaders have very important things to say. So, Etheria, would you be willing to go next? Etheria is our interim vice chancellor of general services, and this is your first Flex Day thing, so welcome. It's so great to see you.
You're muted, Etheria.
As you said, this is my first Flex Day, so let me unmute myself and speak. So as some of you know, my name is Etheria Smith, and I am the interim vice chancellor of general services. And like Dr. McKinley, I came to the district in November, but that was November well over 15 years ago. So I've been an employee with the district for over 15 years. And I'd like to thank you for the invitation and the opportunity to speak to all of you about general services, which is comprised of M&O, maintenance and operations, capital projects, and security. And a little bit about maintenance and operations. We have a new interim director of facilities and operations right now, and her name is Olivia Rocha. She's, again, back to the future. I like to welcome her back because she was here once before. Inga, you're nodding your head. Yes, you may remember her from COA. So she worked on projects before, and she was the director of facilities once before. So thank you so much for coming back and assisting us. I'd like to take the time also to thank the engineers, our support staff, and the grounds in M&O, because they have been working with very little funding, and they've been working with Band-Aids. And I am pleased to report that the state is awarding the district over $7 million to finally start addressing some of our issues, bigger projects that we could not address for facilities and operations. I'm sorry, it's just, finally we can do something for the district. And in support of that, we also are leveraging those funds with our Measure G to address our infrastructure needs, utilities, lighting, HVAC, water, and to get these things fixed. I saw in the chat from someone, what about new buildings? That's capital projects. That's headed by AECOM. Those are our program managers. And we have 3 construction management teams. That's Kitchell, Swinnerton, and Roebelin, and they're across the district. We also have Antonio that's helping out at the aviation complex. So we're finally pulling it together.
Atheria, I am so glad you are here in this position, because while sometimes people come from outside and they bring a lot of different knowledge and expertise, right now, much of what Peralta needs is knowledge like yours and commitment like yours. You know how stuff works. So I am really glad you're here. If faculty have lots of questions, let me give you 2 of them if you're willing to address. One is, can you answer the question, faculty are like, how will we know that the facilities are clean and safe for us when we return? Because they've been empty for so long. I know it's a huge question. Give us the 20,000 foot answer. How can tell us a little, just sort of 20,000 foot, are we coming back to, clean and safe facilities? Are we, and by the way, our students coming back to clean and safe facilities?
So Ingrid, thank you for pulling me back a little bit. So just as Dr. J had referenced, we had testing done, and we are going to share those results with you once we have an opportunity to review them ourselves. And you will see all the work that had to be done. And there is going to be a phase 2 in our cleaning, because we have to take a deeper dive and to do a deeper cleaning. We did sanitation, we sanitized areas, make sure that the filters were changed, there's clean air, it's healthy. Now we have to see how well it's functioning, because some of these, some of our operations, some of our systems have to be replaced. Although they're functioning, they have to be replaced. And we're going to take the time to do that and share that information as we would place them with you. So
let me make a proposal. This is something that Antoine and I talked about in preparing for today a little too. People have so many questions, and just like Chancellor Jackson, I asked you to talk about, people, sometimes there's just so much information and it's overwhelming. So Etheria, if it doesn't already exist, I would propose that you and I get together next week and talk a little bit about how there's an overview that I can share out as the professional development coordinator also, because people are like, they're saying, oh, when will the heat pack be on here? When can we go this? And will you tell us about this new building? And I'm like, it's so much. So I'm wondering if for now, there's a place people can look. Obviously, Chancellor Jackson's announcements and newsletters have a lot. I read them all, by the way, they're long, but I read them, the whole thing. It's super important. How can people learn and get questions? Because there's just too many for today, as you know.
Oh, not a problem. I understand. And I'd be happy to meet with you. I have on Monday between 12:15 and 12:17 to meet with you. So I'll put you in there. So no, I'm happy to meet you. We'll work it out. We report the status of our facilities on Build Peralta. You can go there. We report out to Mark Johnson, who sends out news shots, but we're also going to be looking to put out a capital outlay newsletter, which will tell you about what DGS is doing. I say capital outlay because that includes M&O, and it also includes capital projects. So that will be coming out once a month. And again, I'm happy to meet with you so we can continue the communication and make sure that people have the information that they need.
Then keep your 2-minute slot on Monday to yourself. And what we'll do is I'm going to try to work really hard as staff development officer to help reshare and tell people where they can go to learn more. So keep doing what you're doing and appreciate you very much. Okay, Antoine Meole, are you ready to, Dr. J, did you want to say something?
I'm sorry, I was just going to say one of the things that we're going to do is as we capture these questions, we are going to set up FAQ on Safe Peralta that I'm hoping, Mark, I'm not speaking out of turn, that can be searchable. So you don't have to read every FAQ to figure out the answer. You can say facility, or you can say opening, or you can say Laney College, or whatever. So we are looking at doing that, and we're capturing this. I'm looking at some of the things that are in the chat. And so we're capturing some of those, and we'll review the video. And with your help, Inger, and working with Mark, we've already talked about establishing that. So as people have questions, we will post them out there. So really, you need to put that Safe Peralta as a favorite, so you don't have to remember it, but it's basically HPPS, whatever, it has the S
We'll
on
put
the
it in the
end.
link. Yeah.
Yeah, the not HTTP, but HTTPS:// safeperalta.edu. Okay.
And again, I do want to say, Dr. J, your letters are packed full of really important information. So if y'all don't have time to read anything else, read hers, because there's a lot of information in all of them. Okay, Antoine, can you give us a brief update, which is hard to do, but a very brief update from IT?
Yes. Thank you, Inga, and thank you, faculty. Welcome back. So for a brief update, IT have been focused on the return to campus. We have been focused on getting the campus shield up and running for students and setting up the questionnaires based on the CDC guideline, and working with HR and Arteria to make sure that the checkpoints are ready. And the other things we are doing as a district IT, we met on Tuesday to discuss how do we get ready for Monday, and making sure all the access point, the network, and all the technology are ready to be able to access the internet and do the good stuff we're doing. For PeopleSoft upgrade, we are moving along, and we are right now at the unit testing, user acceptance testing. We have a little delay because of the amount of work Dr. J eloquently said earlier. All those reports and everything have delayed us. So we are reassessing and making sure that we get this right. And Dr. J have emphasized to me that you need to get this right, and you need to make sure that people are trained and the deployment is seamless and all that stuff. So we are just getting our act together and just making sure that we have a robust plan to address the need of the district. And besides that, we have other works that we're doing, lots of work. We're working with academic affairs. Dr. Siri Brown have been the sponsor of major projects like AM for the DSPS program, Campus Logic for financial aid, and Maxian, and for tracking student conduct. And all those IT projects are being heavily involved with IT, Connect Ed for financial aid. There is so amazing improvement that faculty are coming out with, and working with Dr. Brown and IT to try to move the district forward. We laid down the foundation on February 15 by going live with PeopleSoft 9.2. And that was to revamp the digital core and making sure that our system are secure and reliable. Now the work began. The work began by start automating all our business processes, improving all the work we need to do to serve students. And our team are ready, and we have the support of the Chancellor to make sure that those are done and those are in place to make sure that the district is advancing in the right way. So, and thank you for everybody. If there is any question I can answer. And also one of the things, we have a major RFP coming out tomorrow by purchasing. It's a $5 million bond funded RFP to revamp the campus's core infrastructure. And Berkeley City College, I saw somebody post that question earlier. Berkeley City College is part of the top priority to make sure that the digital core infrastructure is revamped. And also the district has some in the other colleges. So this touch all 4 colleges, including the district. So it's coming up. It's going to be released tomorrow.
So I just want to remind you that I think what you meant to say was urgent priority, not top priority, because as a Laney-based faculty member working at the district office, I think what you meant was urgent, not top priority, right?
Yes, yes, I'll correct myself because, you know,
Okay.
I'm a Laney, I come from Laney, so I don't want to offend my Laney partners.
The thing you and I talked about the other day, just really quickly, was that a lot of people don't realize all of the things IT does. And so I was saying, is there a way you could organize kind of like just almost a Padlet chart or an Excel block thing that people could look at and see all the things that you have going on and get updates there? And is that possible?
Yes, it's possible.
Okay.
We'll work together on that.
Okay,
There's no
okay.
problem. Yes.
Yeah, nothing like coming to Flex Day to talk about things and people giving you more work. A theory is like, yeah, I have 2 minutes for you, Inger, and Antoine's like, great, another thing to do. Thanks, Inger.
Yes, and I just wanted to also quickly thank all the faculty. Yesterday, we met to talk about guided pathway, how to bring the data and all that stuff within PeopleSoft. And we have a very good plan to move forward with the sponsor, with the support of DC Brown. We'll get that done quickly. Thank you.
And I also wanted to say, Antoine, just for the benefit of folks who are here, that I love that a lot of the questions are about students and the chats about students, but what you do, we don't see. As faculty and employees, we don't see all the work you do to make everything work for students too, which is a completely set of criteria and projects. So thank you, because I know that you focus on students and sometimes we have to wait, and that's as it should be. Okay, Donald, can you be fast today?
Hi, everyone. Aren't you excited about starting the fall? I am. As I was telling Inger earlier about, missing my scones that I have when I go to these events every semester. And, that was something that I could think about because, when you sit here all alone, and you're going like, oh, where's the camaraderie? Where's the interaction? Where do you get the new ideas from, and so on? Everything happens with us in terms of our engagement and our interaction with each other. So I'm happy to even have this engagement. And so thank you very much. And what I wanted to talk about briefly is really reflecting on what Dr. Jackson was talking about in terms of the collective us, right? And I really do appreciate it. My eyes rolled when I saw all of the different reports that had to be done, and I recognize the number of people, I mean, everybody that has to put in the effort for these extra things on top of their work, right? And so even the return to campus involving so many people, that's those kinds of issues I think we sometimes forget, and particularly as a faculty leader, I sometimes don't pause and say, hey, what a great job everybody's doing. Hey, so when I call up Dr. Jackson or text her and say, whoa, we're not seeing this or we're not seeing that, right? I need to couch it in the context of we know how busy everybody is. We know that things are being done, and that the constant loop that we need to have is, what can we do to make it better? What can we do to try to address these issues? How do people receive it, and what kind of way can we better provide it? And so I think that's the context that I would like to speak to you this morning. You'll hear more from us about the grand jury report. The Academic Senate is very concerned about how the Senate was portrayed in the wording. They didn't outright say that we violated X, Y, Z, or P, but in the context of it, what they alleged didn't occur. And so what we want to do is to be able to factually respond to the grand jury, the Alameda Civil Grand Jury. So you'll hear more about those things. We are excited about the fact that we are responding to all of these different all of these different reports in a very, very positive way. I still want to hear from the chancellor and from the board is when are we actually going to be coming back on campus? Throughout all of the discussion today, I didn't hear a spring semester. I didn't hear a fall semester. I didn't hear summer. And I don't know, is there a tipping point for everybody having vaccines or exemptions, and then we could look at it? Or do we need more stuff on the campuses in order to prepare for us to go to all come back on campus? So I'm waiting to hear that. And what I would really like to see is to make sure that whenever that is, we have a good long period of time to prepare for it, right? I would rather hear it about next fall, or I would rather hear it say spring, and all of us know that that's what's happening. And the discussion at the ground level of getting all of this stuff done is fine, but I think some clear points I think would be really, really beneficial. And finally, I did the campus, the company nurse yesterday. And for those of you who are trying to do the vaccine, you have to scroll and you have to make sure you go into the right one. There's one where you're reporting on campus and you need to go through the CDC guidelines. And the other one is where you can upload your vaccine and how to go and manage it. It's a little bit time consuming because you'll make mistakes and get frustrated, but hopefully they'll make it a little bit more user friendly. I had to tell somebody, Jane Smithson, that you have to scroll, and scrolling is something that is not mentioned anywhere on it, right? So, all right, that's it. Thank you very much.
So Donald, I have to say, I just got texts from colleagues who said they loved your welcome smile. So thank you for bringing that energy in as our Senate president. Can we keep that up all semester, please?
Yes, I hope so.
And I am sure that we will hear from our chancellor as soon as she knows when we're all going back and not. And remember, there's a couple questions related to putting information as employees. It's only urgent if you're going to go back to campus, right? If you're not going back until October, November, you can do all your scrolling in Campus Nurse a little bit later. So, okay, Jennifer, PFT president and comrade, would you like a few moments?
Hey, Inger. I don't think I can muster Donald's enthusiasm, but I will start by saying good morning. And I'd like to thank you, Inger, for putting together an excellent Flex Day. You brought us all together in style, as you always do. And I'd like to thank our leadership panel, not only for the updates, but all the hard work that's gone behind those reports that we've heard so far. My name is Jennifer Shinoski. I'm a chemistry instructor at Merritt College, and I'm president of the Peralta Federation of Teachers. If you didn't know, we're the union that represents over 1,000 faculty members. We represent instructors, counselors, nurses, and librarians throughout Peralta. We also represent our mental health specialists as we hire more of them too. So, I really want to start by giving a welcome back that includes just some good wishes about the summer. I really hope that it afforded you some time to rest, some time to travel, and some time to reconnect with loved ones that you were unable to see over the last year and a half. Personally, I did as much of all three as I could possibly cram in and cherished every minute. The hugs that I gave and received this summer were some of the best ever, and I'm not even really a hugger. So in between hugs, PFT was busy working with the district on a variety of issues, plans for reopening that you've already heard about today, and making sure that we reopen face-to-face in the ways that we know our students learn most effectively. Vaccination policies in line with state mandates and public health recommendations, a 5% cost of living adjustment to be applied to all salary schedules effective this year. So big celebration there. More full-time faculty hiring, COVID impact grants, several special elections that have been happening this summer, and of course, advocating for our members, our community, and our students. And while we've had a number of wins, we're still struggling with a number of really difficult issues this fall. Our students live in the communities most impacted by this pandemic, economically, physically, and emotionally. Our enrollment is down, as we all know. We've received an unprecedented amount of funding from the state and federal governments, yet we continue to cut classes. We get paid according to the number of students we serve, not by productivity. And as we cut classes, we're essentially laying off a huge amount of our part-time workforce. Some of these faculty members have been working for the district for decades, and I just want to give a shout out to all of the work and pain that a lot of those members are experiencing. This is all happening remotely, and sometimes those faculty members aren't even getting a phone call to let them know that they will not be serving this fall. So I urge us all to have compassion as we make these cuts and to really think about the fact that we have a lot of money and we are here to serve our students in classrooms and in our offices and via Zoom. Instead of going on and on about the issues at hand, I know Inger won't want me to. I'm going to invite you to a couple of our sessions later today. We have a session at noon where PFT will give you its perspective on the budget that will be passing, the board will be passing next month. And at 2 o'clock for a general membership update that will include a discussion on our negotiation survey and our contract campaign. It's hard to believe that our collective bargaining agreement is going to expire at the end of next academic year, but it is true. And we need all of our members to stand side by side in ensuring that we move forward safely, effectively, and together. I'd be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to encourage those of you living in California to make sure you vote in the special election regarding Gavin Newsom's recall. I won't tell you how we promote you to vote. I'll leave that to you. But we will have more information about how you can get involved in the campaign at our PFT membership meeting today at 2. And finally, Inger, I'd like to invite you to join Inger and I at 5 o'clock to close out the day with a toast. Join us with your favorite beverage and let's start the semester in friendship and with some laughter, perhaps. Donald, I hope you'll be there to shout from the rooftops. Thanks so much. Okay, Inger, what's up?
I have to tell you, last January, Jennifer and I did a little happy hour at the end too, and she was in her backyard with her cocktail glass, and I was up in my apartment. It was sunny, so it was really lovely. People came by, so do come by at 5 if you can. Chancellor, we would love for you to come by, although I believe you live in a different time zone and that may be challenging, but we would love you too. We'd love everybody. All right, last but definitely not least, my supervisor in my role as staff development officer, our vice chancellor of academic and student affairs, Siri is with us to give us some updates and launch us.
Thank you, Inger. Thank you for all your work for putting today together. Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to the fall semester. As a longtime faculty in the classroom before I switched over, I always remember the excitement and the just the anticipation of fall semester and starting a new year. So I hope you all are feeling as excited as Donald was and as compassionate as Etheria was, because you actually can show, your feelings and your passion for what you do through Zoom. And our students are eager to feel your passion for education. There's a lot of things happening in academic affairs. I'm happy to continue in this role to be able to continue to move projects forward with my amazing classified professional staff that work so brilliantly and so diligently that I couldn't do any of these projects without them. So I'm going to run through just a couple quick things, and if there's any questions or comments. Also note that I sent out a communication about some of this so that you can look in more detail. First, a little bit of interesting news. You've been seeing some emails about fraudulent or spam student applications and its impact on enrollment. The people who are committing this type of mass dark web fraud have been hitting all of the California community colleges. And we began to address it as we got tips and saw some suspicious things going on, and have worked really hard to mitigate it. And now we're seeing a new crop of probably the same fraudulent people, I don't know, but they're now again dumping into your classes And so we're working really hard to mitigate that as classes begin. And I sent a whole like 1-page like summary of what it is faculty can do to help us. It was very helpful when faculty copied and pasted what these fake students were putting into the Canvas shell, and just give us an idea of how it is they're moving, because that's how we then are able to build filters and track this and stop it. So please read that communication. We want to make sure that we don't have fraudulent students in your classes, so that our real students who are amazingly strong, resilient, coming back to classes during a pandemic, that they can get into classes that aren't falsely full. So please read that. In our area, we're working on a number of things, and the focus is on the student experience. I was sitting with a friend who has 3 young adult children, and they live in West Oakland, and one of them was like, I tried to go to Peralta, Miss Siri, and it was too hard. And I was like, oh my gosh. She's like, I could talk to you forever. I could bring my friends, and I said, no, I don't want you to bring your friends and tell us. We know, and we are working on it. Thanks to Antoine, the 9.2 launch was very successful. It's made a tremendous transformation for the student experience, but that's really just the beginning. We have other projects that are related to the update, including all of the add-ons to 9.2, including the automatic awarding of degrees, which will be completed this fall, including the AIM project, all kinds of technical things that Inger Stark mentioned earlier are things you don't really see, like what are those people doing down there? But this has been our focus, put our head to the wind and make the experience for the students better. In our central A&R office, we have reworked the way that we are addressing the admissions emails. I don't know if people know, but we'll get 800 emails in one day from students. And so we reworked, we've added support because I told staff we have to do a 24-hour response, and actually I want to get it down to 4 hours. And so we're working on expanding that even more so that students instantly get responses to the initial questions when they're trying to simply onboard and get used to our system. We also have a matriculation project that we launched brand new with our wonderful partners at OUSD. As you know, dual enrollment in the last 6 years has grown from 236 students to now over 3,400 students every single semester. Hands up to all the faculty who teach, to Giselle Hendry, who's my dual enrollment coordinator. And of the enrollment that's declining, it's not dual enrollment. We've added more sections this fall than we have ever had. And that does help create the pathways for our young people. And the CCAP, you know, is really, the legislation is an emphasis on marginalized students, Southeast Asian, Latinx, African American, DSP, those needing services. And that is what we do with dual enrollment. That's what you do. And so we're just looking to continue always to deepen that. We've added matriculation support, hands-on support to help students matriculate. And thanks to our partnership with the city, we have officially hired a brand new position, a director of academic affairs, who will be over dual enrollment, Oakland Promise, distance education, and strong workforce career education. You'll get to meet Albert Manuel. He just started on Monday. He's got an amazing background, and we're really excited that he'll take a real close hold of these areas that are growing. Not everything is declining in Peralta. Lots of things are growing. We want to nurture that and continue to grow them in ways that make sense for our community. Last thing I'll talk about in any kind of depth is that over the summer, I hired Heather Cisneros and Terrence Green and to focus on credit for prior learning. As you know, we were required by the state to revise our BPs and APs around that, which we did, and we had to submit it last December, but we hadn't done a lot of the groundwork. There's so much going on. So I said to myself, credit for prior learning, that's a summer focus. We got to get this together. Heather and Terrence did an amazing job. I said, just make us smart about this. Get us ready. Let's lay the foundation. There's a technical foundation to it, and then there's a knowledge-based foundation to it. But key to credit for prior learning is that it's faculty driven. And I have already talked to the Senate about their role. You will be hearing a lot about credit for prior learning this semester so that we can launch in spring and let the community know that you can come here and already receive credit for the work you've done in the world, the military experience that you have, and come to us already further along in a degree or certificate than you might have known. Marketing, Mark Johnson will be working with us for a big launch around that to the community. We've got to break down every barrier that we can think of for why people say, I just can't go to college. This is one barrier we can break down, but it can't happen without faculty engaging in the process and disciplines deciding if they want to participate or not, and then looking at their courses, etc. So you'll hear a lot about that, you'll see a lot about that, and hopefully you'll be engaging in the conversations with us as faculty make those decisions, and Heather and Terrence continue to help us move this forward from the faculty perspective. And then last, in my communication I sent out, which I'll resend out, I always send out at the beginning of the year, just wait list information and things for faculty to get a good, strong start. We're all engaged, many people, in the student journey loss point. Again, this is a focus on the student experience, and some consultants are walking us through so we can flag every single step, every single place that they interface with that causes delays or causes them to drop out. From that analysis, we will prioritize the projects that we're working on. And that brings to mind also that we get a lot of comments about, hey, change this, change that, we should add this, we should add that. And I've been here long enough to see that that approach doesn't work. If we bend with the wind each time that it comes, then we just have these changing waitlist policies, or we just add random things into the new 9.2. We're going to, this fall, with you, be methodically, that's the word, methodically going through what other add-ons are there for the 9.2, what's most important to students so that we can prioritize those. And what about our current processes like the waitlist and permission numbers? I don't want to just randomly make a decision. I want us to methodically look at the benefits and the drawbacks of the decisions and make smart decisions. And then I said last, but there was one more thing. This is really important. If you remember the data integrity project that our former chancellor brought, I have said to everyone that that was probably the best, best thing that has come our way in many ways. And that's because there are some low-hanging, simple things that we have to do in terms of processes, training, and technologically that will increase our FTES and our MIS data, all the ways that we're paid from the state. And so you will be a part of some of that, and you'll hear about it. And then hopefully you'll be hearing reports about the things that we fixed that have automatically just brought us more funding that we should have already had. So that's a priority project as well. And thank you all. Thank you, faculty. Thank you, classified professionals. Remember to bring all the joy and passion you have for learning and teaching. Bring your compassion, bring your understanding of what our students have been experiencing into these first several weeks. And I wish you the best semester that you've ever had this semester. And don't forget to do your census on time, online, so you don't get all those emails from me that I'm tired of sending them. All right, thank you, Inger.
All right, there are so many things to say, and yet a whole bunch of sessions begin in less than 10 minutes. There are some brown bag sessions during the lunch hour. They're mostly the PFT, the dual enrollment, the math equity group, and a couple of quick starts. So a couple things as we wrap up. One, thank you so much, leaders, for showing up, for being an amazing team. Siri, sometimes I wonder why you have not gone back to the classroom. You have got to be one of the most dedicated administrators there's ever been, because she could retreat to the classroom at any time she chooses, but look at her, she's still here. Dr. J, we are so happy to have you back. Etheria, so happy to have you stepping up. Antoine, there's a lot of love for you in the chat. And Jennifer and Donald, you keep our faculty on track. And Dr. McKinley, thank you for laying out so much to get us ready for this, people being safe and students being safe. So a couple of things in closing. I will be on email all day watching if people have questions or need help. There's a lot of great events. Please fill out evaluations. Those help us learn. Join me at 5. And lastly, I just want to say one more time, a heartfelt and very genuine apology to our classified professionals. Today is very faculty focused. That's largely for the reasons I mentioned this morning. In my role, that was sort of my charge, but I want as a district to do better and that our professional development is much more inclusive of classified professionals in the future. So with that, off you go, folks, and have a great day and have a great semester.
Thank you, Inga.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
All right,
On
thanks a
the
lot.
other side.
Just to show all of the chat and all of the questions that came in during Q&A and chat are being preserved, and we'll add those to our standard Q&A that'll be posted on Safe Peralta. So thank you for all of the great questions, and we will get them answered for you. See you the rest of the day.
Thanks, Inger. Thanks, Mark. You guys did a great job. Appreciate it. And Ron, thank you too. Long nights are worth it.